Hey, welcome to Faith and Flavor. I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to make little egg bites, right? So what I wanted to do was like find things this month that were mostly carb friendly. Like the last one, no, it's not. I promise, it's a dessert. But I did a lot of things with like eggs and stuff like that. And so a lot of people like to food prep and all that. So this here was really good to food prep. I have one of my little mini brownie bite pans and stuff. So
This is adorable. I've never seen these before, but you can
Yes.
see how that's really cute.
yes, and you can buy them all over. This one happens to be Pampered Chef. Not that I'm plugging Pampered Chef, but I do like a lot of their stuff. So, and if it was full of brownies, I might like it better. But
Oh,
we're
yes.
gonna do the eggs. But I've pretty much pre-mixed everything so that the time and we can pop it in the oven and go ahead and get it going. I don't really know how long it's going to cook for, and I assume that 400 is probably a good spot to land. We'll check it. Hopefully, it'll be correct. But all I did was take 4 eggs. 4 eggs made these 12 slots, and so I did 4 eggs. I used my trusty bacon that I get from Sam's Club here, and I just put it in a pan and I just pre-cook, like it's already cooked, but I like to just give it a little heat going in so
Right.
that way. And then I just put cheese.
So,
So I got to put the bacon and then we'll put the
yeah,
cheese.
but
So,
these two.
and I've already cooked the bacon here. So all I'm doing is just dropping it in. And all I didn't salt and pepper it. People can salt and pepper it if they want on their thing. I would typically salt and pepper it a little bit, but David don't eat much salt. So,
And the nice thing is this bacon kind of helps take the place of salt.
Yes.
And so then we're going to
It's
put
it's a little healthier if you want to look at the fact of bacon, because in 1 tablespoon it's only 30 calories. So that's kind of good.
Now this I put a little bit more cheese. So if you like
Yeah.
cheese, if not, you don't have to do it quite as much. So
probably put a little
Okay.
more there. Just go ahead and use it all somewhere. Somebody will
Okay.
love some cheese. And then we're just going to pop it in the oven, and
so we're going to put it at
see how-
400,
I put it at 400.
and we'll just have to keep kind
We'll
of
just-
peeking, right?
Yeah, we'll just
Okay.
have to peek and check.
Okay.
I don't like runny eggs, so if it gets a
Oh,
little
goodness,
brown on
no.
top, then I'm okay with that. I'd rather it be brown on top and not runny in the middle.
Okay.
This morning I woke up, which I prepared a lot of the thoughts and stuff and had it printed out and stuff, but I like to kind of like just go through in my head as I'm going through the day or the evening, like what are the next 4 or 5, depending on what we're doing, podcast. And peace, I think, in this day and time is very relevant in a lot of cases, because I feel like there's a lot of unrest. And I literally woke up in the middle of the night, and I must have had my head on it while I was sleeping because the phrase that went through my head is God has peace for you. And I was like, I need to remember that phrase, because I feel like when you wake up, and like as soon as I woke up, it was literally on my tongue and on my mouth. And so I feel like that's like God saying, hey, this is what I'm going to bless this, or I'm going to bless this word. Or, hey, here's a word for you,
Right.
because I do that a lot of times on Sunday mornings. Like when I guess I'm thinking in my head, like, what songs are we going to sing today? Like, what's a good mix of songs? Like, what is God saying? And so I woke up this morning, and out of all the 4 podcasts that I had thought about doing and the subjects that we were going to do, when I woke up this morning, the peace one was the one that was like right in my spirit. And so I really thought, well, I'll do that first. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that, because I'm not going to get, because I feel so strong about the peace of our Father. And I think that in today's day and time, there's so much unrest. Not just, people could be like, oh, there's so much unrest in the world, and there's so much unrest in politics. And I'm not even talking about that, although that's very valid.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. But we walk around, Christians walk around with the promise of peace and never really grab it.
Absolutely. And that, it's interesting, as we were talking before on the podcast about Pastor Dave always says, God is I am. So don't say, I am anxious, I am sick, I am whatever. And so I said, this body of mine lately has so much anxiousness in it, so much, and I can't place it, right? I don't know why. I mean, like, there's last couple of days, like, I would just start crying for no reason. And I think too, a lot of it is we let our minds go a little bit more to social media than we should. And behind the keyboard, people can be so unkind, to put it nicely, right? And it always amazes me that you'll scroll through and let's say you said, I love bacon, okay? And I'm like, well, I couldn't stand bacon. I'm not going to put in your comment, oh my gosh, I mean, and people are so quick to do that. And it's like, if we have that much going through our mind, if we took it and we place it in the right places, like, and I'm talking to myself too, reading the Bible and looking for ways to serve and finding that peace within us to bring out, wow, how different it would be.
Yes, absolutely. And that's part of the part that makes it so sad is the ones who have the promise. And I'm not saying that you don't have a promise if you're not a Christian. You do. I believe you do. Because when he said, peace I leave with you, right? He didn't say I'll leave it to all the Christians. He said, peace I leave with you. You don't I don't believe that you have to be a Christian to have peace.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, I could even say that sometimes I'm set back by the amount of peace that's not in Christianity.
Mm.
And people of Christian faith, because the promise is there. It's there for your taking. And listen, I know that there's a lot of noise and stuff around, stuff that makes you. People think that peace is the absence of noise. It's not. The noise can still be there. It's the alignment with the word.
Right.
Right. And I base that on, like, let's talk about Peter. When the winds were boisterous and all of that, and then he saw Jesus walking on the water and said, Lord, if that be you, bid me come. And Jesus said, come. He didn't convince Peter it was him. He didn't have to roll out the red carpet and say, here you go. This is me. I'm saying come because I'm rolling you out the red carpet. And he didn't calm the storm first. He literally said, come. And the alignment of Peter to the voice of authority and the voice of God, the voice of peace, he stepped out of the boat. And he did not begin to sink until and literally it says that in Matthew 14, verses 29 through 30, it says, and Jesus said, come, right? But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid and began to sink. It was that he took his eyes off of the alignment of who called him the voice of authority and put his mind on the situation about him. But the beautiful thing to me in that whole message, that whole scripture, is even when he became very human and listened to the noise about him, because the wind was still blowing, right? Didn't silence the noise.
Right.
Is that even when he was as human as he would, even when he began to doubt and when he began to sink, Jesus took him by the hand. And he still, if he'd have never got out of the boat, he wouldn't have had that particular opportunity to hold the hand of the Father.
Right.
And
the interesting thing too is if he hadn't gotten on the boat, it wasn't like Jesus was going to not be there for him, but he gave him the choice to say, come, and trust right from the start. Right. And he did. And it's just like, all of us, we can be following the right path. And if we all of a sudden, like you said, get nervous or let the peace go away from us, we will deviate just like he did. And I know it's another, easier said than done, but if we really start each day by saying, I'm yours, lead me in the right direction, it's not going to make it easy. Like I said, I used to go to a hospice patient's house and every day I'd walk in her door, it said, I didn't say it'd be easy. I said it'd be worth it, God. And I just thought if we would remember that each and every day, because like I said, being a Christian doesn't mean that you just skate through life. Some of the times, there's days that it can be even worse because, the devil only goes after people he doesn't have. So some days the turmoil can be worse, the chaos can be worse. But like you said, if we just align with his peace, and I was thinking too, when you first said that, I thought, okay, in the worst chaotic scenario, there's peace, because I was thinking about my two grandkids, and stuff's all over the place, and I'm kind of a neat freak, right? So stuff's all over the place, but they're having so much fun. So in the chaos, there's peace, there's joy. If we look at that each situation based off of that,
Right.
Let me check real quick.
One of the things that really speaks to me, even with Peter, is what he saw with his eyes became louder than what he heard in the spirit. And I believe a lot of times that we, Christian, non-Christian, doesn't matter, if we begin to focus on the storm, that's what grows. But if we begin to focus on the one who brings peace, the peace giver, the peacemaker, then that voice of authority becomes so much more loud than the wind. And so I think that we do ourselves a big disservice. Listen, I'm not saying that people don't get human, right? Obviously Peter did, right? But he still had to reach out and grab the hand of peace, right? God didn't force Peter to take his hand. When he was sinking, Peter wanted to take his hand, because he said, Lord, help me, I sink, right?
And and what I also, on a little personal note, God also uses people in our lives to help us. I had a situation where I was so convinced that something was going to go wrong that when it went right, I still had the panic attack afterwards.
Right.
And I'm sitting there and I'm literally shaking like crazy. And my husband says, what do you want to do? Do we need to go to the hospital? And I said, what do you think? And he said, you want my honest opinion? I said, yes. He said, Jacqueline, you're having a panic attack and you're fine. And I said, okay, with the grace of God, let's go home. And it was, I kid you not, it was almost instantaneous. My body calmed down.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, I'm sure my husband's saying, Lord, please speak through me so I don't hit upside the head. But like I said, it's just nice because, like you said, when you get on, let's say, the right bandwagon, so to speak, and you look at things through the Father's eyes and that he wants the best for you, your mindset can change so quickly. We just have to listen to the voice of reason and let somebody else be our voice of reason at times too, to help out.
Even when you talk about, like, you were anxious, but he called it out and you begin to realize, right, the stuff that made you anxious was still there.
Right.
It was the realignment of your focus. Okay. He's calling it. That's what it is. And you recognize it. So even with Peter, the storm, it didn't end when he was out there and when he was sinking and all of that. It ended when he realigned, taken the hand of the Father, whatever.
And how many of us would really take that leap of faith to think we could walk on water?
Out of boat
right.
To begin with,
right?
So that's part of it. A lot of us are just afraid to get out of the boat. Like, you can blame Peter for sinking, but he got out of the boat. Some of us just go down with the ship.
And the thing is, think about the probably the number of blessings that we would miss by doing that, and we probably have missed.
Well,
we don't know.
How many times did we miss the hand of Jesus because
of fear?
Kept sinking in the fear and not in the.
That's why I love that. I believe, but help my unbelief, because we don't mean to be unbelievers in anything, but I mean, it's the old cliche once again. It's just human nature. We don't disbelieve our Lord and Savior, but we disbelieve that maybe we're worthy enough or we have it in us to do.
Well, I guess too, we say it is human nature, and that's true. But there's a point where Christ is trying to put on his nature, put on the mind of Christ, right? Get rid of the Adam mind and Adam nature, and put on the mind of Christ, and be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And if the enemy can keep us from renewing our mind, he can keep us in the boat,
right?
Or keep us sinking, But in Isaiah 26:3, it says, "Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on him," which to me equals aligned with him.
Absolutely.
If you align your mind with Christ, you're going to reap the benefits of what Christ gives in the alignment, you know. And when he says come, that's the voice. That wasn't, he didn't doubt the voice. When he heard the voice of Jesus, I believe he knew the voice, you know, even though he's seen it walking on water as if it was a spirit. That's the human nature. But the spirit man says, oh, I recognize that voice. That's the voice of my Father. My eyes, because we know that his eyes was part of him beginning to sink, right? Because he looked around and saw the wind was boisterous. His eyes, or his vision, is what kept him from seeing the Father. But when he heard the voice,
Right.
he knew the voice of the Father. And that's key. That's alignment there.
And if we really opened up our ears and our mind, we would hear a lot more than we realize.
Yes.
To help, to help and guide us. And that, yes, one thing is, I when I always pray over people in the morning, I always ask for the protection and guidance, for us all to feel that love and that security that, that he wraps around us. If we do the come and we actually go forth as he asks us to.
Right. That's right. Well, are we close? Do you think it feels close?
I'm not good at, what do you think? Does that look like they're done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Let me do this so I don't burn my fingers.
We're going to see how yummy this looks and turns out. Hopefully it'll be really yummy.
Watch your fingers there, sweetheart. There we go. This is like a door. Look, it's funny, it looks like a little cornbread.
Well, I'm hoping it's going to be so yummy.
But once again, a little bit of spicy salsa or something on top.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm a weird person. I put like, what is it? Like spicy brown mustard.
A lot of things
Look
that I
how
cook.
cute that looks.
Yeah, look, it's so cute. A lot of people would put things like salsa and all that on thing. I don't, because I don't really eat it, and of course it's just extra stuff I don't really want. But a lot of the stuff that I cook would be good with like sour cream, which I do like that sometimes. And then salsa, or I like banana peppers, and I like jalapenos and that kind of thing. So I think, but I'm gonna pinch this open to see how it looks. Oh yeah, that looks good.
And if you're really worried about putting on, even just some pepper,
Yeah.
I saw somebody else use, I guess the everything bagel, but it's just the seasoning itself in a bag that you can pour on, which I thought was very.
Probably be good on this.
Yeah, wouldn't it? I was very interested. I had never seen that before, but.
Well, listen, one of the lines I have here, I'd like to leave with the people before we go, but it says, "You don't drown because of the storm; you drown because of the distraction."
Oh, very, very, very true. Right. Very true. Because our minds, especially, you ever do when you're driving, you start thinking about different scenarios and you're like, okay, get back on track. But if you're distracted, in anything, driving or, whatever, it really can just completely steer you on a different course.
Yeah, that's something good to take home with you and remember.
Absolutely. Right? That's great. So I love that.
Don't get distracted. Don't let the storm distract you. Just keep your eyes on the Lord, not the storm. Peace is not an absence of noise. It just isn't. Peace is knowing in whom you believe, in whom you trust, and who really cares about you. The storm may not care about you, but the Father does.
Absolutely.
Have a great day on purpose.
And check these out.